Okay, so July, August, and September have just gotten to be a lot more important, especially for about 74 plus million Social Security beneficiaries. You know all the beneficiaries. I talk about them all the time here on the channel, literally every single day. Social Security retirement, SSDI, survivors, spousal, SSI, VA, RRB, all these beneficiaries. Again, almost 100 million people that are impacted by this. However, we just got some new information released today that's going to directly impact the monthly benefit checks for all of these individuals. So I want to walk through what we got today, this information that was just released. I went through it pretty extensively, looked through all the details on this, and there's actually some underlying information within it that's actually pointing toward these months right now, July. Well, we're actually halfway through July right now as I host this live stream, in case you're watching the replay on this thing, at a later date, but we're already halfway through July. But again, we just got the information this morning. However, for the next, call it 2.5 months here, we're going to be looking at some very interesting data here, okay? Now, this comes in as really, honestly, no surprise whatsoever. We've been anticipating this, and it's actually getting to be very, very significant. So basically for the next 2.5 months here, everything that we see come out here is going to be very influential, and it's going to impact our monthly benefit checks in a massive, massive way, probably more than a lot of us are going to realize. And I think even more than maybe what we are seeing out there based on the latest projections and forecasts. And again, I'm going to break it all down for you. Now, let me explain this super fast here. I know that some of you here in this community may not care a whole lot about this, but just let me explain super fast, because I spent a lot of time digging through this information today. And there's some major red flags within it. Not necessarily like, whoa, that's a really bad thing, but more like, that's probably pretty important, pretty, pivotal, that we need to continue watching very closely, especially over the coming months here. And some of the announcements we've been getting out over the last few days, and realistically the last couple of weeks here. Okay, what am I talking about? By the way, I'll clarify more of this as far as how this translates into your benefit and what we're looking at as of now based on this information. I'll tell you more of that here in just a second here. But just let me explain super fast. Report that came out, what this is showing, the underlying data within it, and why we want to focus on this very, very closely, especially for the next, call it 2.5 months, or basically all of July. But again, we're already halfway through the month, so the next 2.5 months as of now. Okay, this morning we got the inflation data. Okay, the inflation data. You hear me talk about this every so often. Okay, now this is very important, especially right now as we speak, because we're in the third quarter. July, August, and September is the third quarter. Massively important for your monthly benefit checks, because they use this inflation data right now to determine how much of a raise we're going to be getting to our monthly benefits, right? We know that. However, let me point something out. Now, if you've been watching the videos here on the channel for a while now, what have I been saying for the last, I don't know, 3 months, something like this? What I've been saying? Watch it. Watch watch June. As soon as we roll over to, obviously we're in July right now, but this is a couple months ago. I was saying, watch, as soon as we get into June, we're going to start to see the tariff impacts hitting consumer prices, as in on all kinds of different products that we buy at our stores. We're going to start to see that hitting consumer prices. We're going to start to see prices increasing because of the effects of tariffs. And most of that was going to start, I should say, that's the key word here, start in the month of June. Obviously, middle of July right now as I'm hosting this live stream. The point being is, the inflation data that we just received this morning was June's inflation data. Right? So anyway, we got the report out. I dug through the report, spent a bunch of time looking at it, as I always do, but I spent more time, honestly, this morning looking at it. And throughout the day today, I spent more time this month because I wanted to see really what's happening within the internals of this report. Here's what I found. It's getting nasty. It's getting really nasty within this report. Even though the headline number came in at only a 0.3% increase month over month and 2.7% year over year, that's, by the way, that's more than they want. Their goal is 2%. Basically, what this is showing is that there is certainly price increases. There's inflation, right? It's not like all that bad when you just look at those numbers. But here's the problem. When you really get into the report and start looking at those specific items that are imported from primarily Asian countries, China and some of the others, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Taiwan, China most notably. That's the most important one. But what's interesting is when we look at the imports on those items, mostly just coming from China and a couple others, what did we see? Huge spikes in inflation, like huge spikes, like abnormally high spikes of inflation and price adjustments on a month-over-month basis. I'm not talking like 0.2%, 0.3%, 0.5%. I'm talking like 1.5%, 2%, 2.25%, 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%, 4%, 4.5% in some cases. Massive spikes. We should not be seeing spikes like this in these types of goods. However, we are, because these are the tariff-driven price increases that we've been waiting for and knew were coming, again, mostly out of China and some of these Asian countries where we import a ton of our goods, our products, right? Okay, why do we care? Here's why we care. Because we're looking at all of this because it's going to be, reflected in prices. We know this, 100% fact. We know this is adjusted as in the prices, consumer prices on the store shelves for the things that we are buying every single day, every single week, every single month. It is reflected right there. And we are the end consumer. We are the ones that are paying for this. Okay. Now, as a fixed income beneficiary, as I mentioned in the title at the beginning of this live stream, Social Security, the whole list of fixed income beneficiaries. It's a whole list of beneficiaries, over 74 million people, well over 74 million people that are impacted by this in a couple different ways. One of which is the impact to your monthly benefit checks because of the raise to our benefits because of the COLA. Okay. Now, here's what else I want to point out. This is just the start. The inflation data that we received this morning is not used in the calculation. Why? We're in July right now. Why wouldn't this one count? Because this was June's inflation data. They don't use that. They only use July, August, and September. So in about a month from now, in the middle of August, I'm not sure what the date is off the top of my head, but it's usually right around the middle of the month. Give or take a couple days each month, but it's right around the middle of the month is when they release the previous month's inflation data. So the middle of August, we will get July's inflation data, and that'll be the one that'll be very notable. That'll be the number one, the first data point of 3 data points that we'll be looking for to determine what our raise to our benefits will be. This is going to be a very important one, okay? Now, here's what we're seeing, or what I said, is that the first report, as in from the tariff-induced price increases, the one that we got this morning on the behalf of June, showed a massive uptick in inflation on a lot of those goods within the report, right? I talked about that. I just went through that. So anyway, my point is these next few reports that we get, as in July, August, and September, we're likely going to see significant spikes in prices, consumer prices, translating into higher inflation, just as suspected. We've been waiting for this. We've known that this was coming. However, some of those price adjustments that I saw this morning and throughout the day today when I was looking at the report are honestly way more than we were anticipating. Point being is that we could see a massive spike in inflation here in the next few months. And that's exactly what they've also been talking about. You've heard me say this before in other videos as well, which is the Federal Reserve has been holding interest rates very high. Why? To torture us? Well, no, probably not to torture us, but rather because they've also been anticipating this big spike in inflation and they're keeping rates high so that in the event we see a huge spike in inflation, which we are, it's basically confirmed at this point, when we see this continue on, they can hopefully keep those rates high to keep the inflation down a little bit. That's their whole logic and their thinking behind this whole thing, okay? But anyway, now that we're in these 3 months, July, August, September, now that we're in these months right here, right now, all of this tariff-driven price increases is going to translate right into that inflation number, which will ultimately translate into a higher benefit increase for you. Now, let me give you the kind of the trend so far on the projections for the COLA for next year, 2026. And again, I know we're still, what are we, 5.5 months until the new year? I get it. We're a long time away. But here's the deal. We're in the time frame now where it's so important. But let me tell you this much. When we started out the year, we had projections at 2.4, 2.2, 2%. And then we jumped back up to 2.4, 2.5, and now we're at a 2.8%. Do you see how this is changing? I'm going to say this much. That's the new projection as of now, 2.8% of a raise with the COLA. That's the projection right now. That's not the official announcement. Okay, the official announcement is still in several months from now, in October. The middle of October is when we will get the official announcement on the COLA for next year. But my point being is that in the next 3 reports that we get, we likely could see that number spike significantly. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked one bit to see this number reach anywhere between around the the midway 3, sorry, having a hard time saying this, 3.5%-ish or high 3% range. And again, I know that we feel like, hey, that's pathetic, that's nothing. I agree with you, that's really bad, but it's certainly better than how we started out the year for the first few months, 2.4, 2.2, 2%, and then we jump back up to 2.4, 2.5, 2.8 now, right? So that's where we're currently sitting at. So you can see how this whole thing has gone down and then reversed and gone right back up, and we're likely going to see these numbers accelerate even faster. Now, here's something else I want to point out for you as well. Over the last couple of days here, in fact, the president just announced a 19% tariff on Indonesia today. Over the weekend, the president announced a 30% tariff on Mexico and the EU, European Union. Threatened a 100% tariff on Russia. Honestly, I'm not really sure how much that matters. I'm not sure how much we really import from Russia and how much that really matters. We mostly want to focus on Mexico, Canada, and China, and then obviously some of these other Asian countries, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Taiwan, some of these other ones where we import, different, all kinds of stuff. We import all kinds of stuff from them. Obviously, we know that, right? Just flip over anything in your house and look at the little sticker on the bottom. It probably says made in China, right? I mean, seriously, right? I could look at all this junk sitting behind me and it all probably says made in China. In fact, there's a sticker right here on the bottom of this hourglass I'm holding. I'm not sure what it says. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I bet that sticker, I have no idea what that says. I bet it says made in China. Seriously. I just noticed that there's a sticker on it. That's nuts. I bet it says made in China. I'm super curious to see it. When I get done with this, I'm gonna have my wife look at it. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I wouldn't be shocked if it says that. But all this crap you see behind me on the shelves and stuff, it's probably all from China. Seriously, right? But anyway, okay, so that's what's super important about this. So these months now are super important when it comes down to your monthly benefit, because we're likely going to see this inflation ratchet significantly higher, which will ultimately result in a significantly higher COLA, which translates again into our monthly benefit. Now, I'm going to throw this out there super fast as well. I talked about this last week. I think it was on maybe, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday of last week. But the Social Security Board of Trustees annual report came out, okay? And in that report, they talked about all kinds of different things about the insolvency of Social Security, the Old Age and Survivors Trust Fund, the Disability Trust Fund, and all kinds of stuff. I've explained it before in other videos. But they also talked about Medicare insolvency, not Medicaid. Medicaid basically has all the money in the world that they want because it's funded by the federal government. Federal government just has unlimited amounts of money. It's not Medicaid, Medicare insolvency. Okay, they talked about that as well. But within there as well, they also highlighted how much the Medicare Part B premium will likely be in 2026, right? Did you see this video from, I don't know, last week one day? I think it was Wednesday or Thursday of last week. But the projection is an increase of $21.50 or a Medicare Part B premium of $206.50 for next year. That's nasty. That's super nasty. But just think of it this way. If we actually do get a 2.8% COLA, which, that's what that's the forecast as of now. I don't think it's going to be 2.8%. I think we're going to be, solidly in the mid 3% range. That's just my speculation as of now. It could be totally wrong. Who knows, right? Inflation could fall off of a cliff and we could get 0.6%. Who knows? I mean, seriously, we know how they do this, right? They could, who knows? I have no idea what the COLA is going to be. All I'm saying is just based on the numbers now, we could easily be within the mid 3.5%, upper 3% range by the time we actually get the official announcement. Okay. Anyway, I'll keep you posted along the way. But anyway, whatever I was saying about that is that, with the Medicare Part B premium, that a $21.50 increase on that would eat up the entire COLA for basically anybody at about, I don't know, $800-900 a month or so, give or take a little bit. Basically, their entire COLA would be eaten up with the premium increase. That's pathetic. I've said this before in other videos. I think somebody missed the memo that the Medicare Part B premium is not supposed to take the entire COLA. Like somebody missed that memo. Somebody missed that part. That's not what it's for. The COLA is not to adjust for the premium. That's not what it's for. It's supposed to adjust for the cost of living of goods and services, housing, utility, shelter, food, medical co-pays, medical thing, you know what I mean? Like medical expenses, not premiums necessary, but like co-pays and prescriptions and I don't know, whatever else people buy, clothing, shoes, junk, you know what I'm saying? Like all the other stuff that we don't need. You get my point behind that, right? That's what it's supposed to be for, is the cost of living, not for the premium to come in and just say, sorry, well, it was a fun run, but thanks for all your money again, right? So anyway, it's kind of where we're at right now. Just wanted to bring you this data, but I looked through it, and even though, you know, when you look at the surface, you think, oh, that's not much. Inflation's just going up a tiny bit. No. If you're interested in reading into this, look through the inflation report that was just released this morning. Who knows? Maybe I'll link it down below. If you want, I'll link it down below for you. It's a huge report from the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they have it there. I'll put a link down below in the description when I'm done with this. You can read through it if you want, but I'd encourage you, just look through all the different pieces within there that are highlighted and just look at the corresponding inflation to a lot of these items. You're going to see some huge spikes. Anyway, I'd imagine like maybe like one person here will actually do that. And again, I don't blame you. It's just a lot of really boring data. I find it to be somewhat fascinating, but if you have a little bit of time, feel free to do that. I think you're going to find it to be kind of appalling to see how much some of these prices have gone up. All right, anyway. So we're in a very critical time right now, especially as it relates to you and your monthly benefits and a potential raise to it. Let's see what happens here. I'll continue to keep you posted, but just want to bring you that data. Again, I've been saying for a while now, when I look through the data, when I have a chance to look through it, I'll bring in an update on it, whatever it happens to be. But yeah. Oh, one more thing I want to throw out super fast as well. Remember, the president's been announcing all these different tariffs, right? So for a while now, but the deadline now, let's see if it actually sticks or if he just comes back and says, oh, just kidding, we're going to give you another 90-day pause or whatever, is August 1st. That's only, what is that, 2 weeks and a couple days away? So let's see if it actually sticks. If it does, it could get bad. We could see prices really spike in, well, August and September, right? If that actually happens. Let's see. He may just push it out again. I don't know. He's already done it a couple times, right? So let's just see what happens here. But I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, I'll keep you posted on that. And yeah, thanks for joining me. Otherwise, again, I'm gonna have my wife come in and help me turn this off. I'm doing things a little bit differently these days because things have changed and I just need help doing it. So anyway, by the way, I know that some of you have been reaching out, by the way, if you're turning 65 or if you are already 65 and you need help with Medicare, phone numbers are on your screen, call them. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it forever. But you know the deal with that. It's a free review. You can connect with somebody. They are very knowledgeable, very professional. They know what they're talking about. They have access to over 20,000 plans. They can help you find better plans, get better coverages, make sure that you are properly covered, and hopefully save you a ton of money. By the way, the average person that's calling them, I think the phone number is like right here, maybe. Anyway, the average person that's calling them is saving $1,100. Just write that phone number down. It's right there on your screen for you. Again, I'm pretty sure it's right there. But anyway, yeah, saving a ton of money, a lot of people. So I've been leaving some community posts out lately where people have been reaching out down below in the comment section saying, hey, I called, saved a bunch of money, got better plans, got better coverages, leaving reviews, whatever it happens to be. So I don't know. It's pretty exciting just to see that. And again, it's free, 100% for free. So if you want to call them, after you do, just leave me a comment down below. Use the word chapter within your comment. That's just the keyword that I search for to find these, and then I will certainly give you a shout out in a future video and feature you. Okay, so I don't think Corey is here yet. Okay, so I'll get into the chat here, at least until Corey comes. We'll answer some questions. Okay, it's going to take me a second to get into the comment section or the chat box, but if Corey comes in, then, you know, we'll jump off then. What's this? Okay, hang on. Sorry, this is always the slowest part. If you're joining live right now, feel free to stick any comments, questions. Corey's here, actually. So I guess I'm not going to go into the chat box. Okay, anyway, thanks for joining me on this. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're having a nice day. Please subscribe if you're new here. If not, that's cool too. Otherwise, check out the other videos here on the channel. Stay tuned. I'll keep you posted. Otherwise, Corey's going to help me.